I'm Alex.
And I'm Brittany.
And you're
in the editing castle. And you really are. We are in the editing castle this week.
Yes, we are, Brittany.
We have been slaying the game when it comes to editing.
This is my favorite time of the year. Not only because of all the holidays and festive cheer, but because we like to challenge ourselves to the North Pole Project.
I love the North Pole Project.
Brittany, would you like to share the North Pole Project with my friends here?
Absolutely. When you think about the Midwest specifically, there's a cold season and a busy season. Cold season often becomes like the reset season. So you sprint through your entire wedding season and you have all of the nice days in the spring, summer, and fall. And then as soon as like December hits, the inquiries, they dwindle and the opportunities, they become quiet. And the reason why is because it's so cold outside. Like nobody wants to create outside. So there's often less weddings, less sessions, less things coming in. It becomes this editing era. What we have realized is going into a fresh calendar year, it's so nice to have already edited all of your projects from the previous year, so you really get to have a full reset. What we like to do specifically is get everything back to our couples before Christmas. We call it the North Pole Project, and we do it every year in business because we try to, at least.
Yeah.
It's really nice to be able to have all of those beautiful humans go back into their holiday celebrations with their content in hand so they can show people what kind of fun we all had together.
It's definitely a big task.
There have been years where we failed the North Pole Project.
It wasn't even close.
No, we were editing well into like February last year.
Part of that had to do with boundaries. When you're taking 4 engagement sessions in one day, that is not healthy. I do not recommend that.
No.
It is crazy that day worked out.
Yeah.
Like looking back on it, you guys just take a second, no matter where you are at this point in your business, look in the rear view for a moment. Just take yourself back to one of your craziest days and
Why
just
don't you
think.
open up your calendar and read what you were doing?
That's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
When we open up the Google Calendar from that year, it is
shocking.
Packed.
Shocking. But you learn a lot by doing a lot. So I don't regret the reps. I do regret, like you mentioned, not having the proper boundaries in place for your editing workflow. And then also during that chapter, I regret not giving things like what we're going to talk about today a chance to benefit our lives.
Yeah.
Change is often scary because it comes with this element of the unknown. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be worth the time invested in order to see if it's going to be worth it. But
gotta dip your feet in the water before you can get wet.
Nothing changes if nothing changes. You can't be scared of change.
Starting with boundaries is actually a great place to start. And that starts in your contract with whoever you are working with. You need to revise it if you still have time to revise it. If it's too late for that, you need to revise your contract for the next thing that you book. I think that it's a really important factor that is often overlooked. If you are trying to hit a 45-day return and that's in the middle of busy season, and now you add in your last wedding is out of state or something like that, maybe it's a destination elopement in a beautiful place, those travel days aren't really work days. They're travel days, and they're like getting your stuff ready for that day. That's like a lot of what being a content creator is okay, so gotta put my head down and just look at what's right in front of me so I can get that accomplished as good as I possibly can. And then once you can take that deep breath, that's when you go back and you finish up your queue. So with that being said, extending your timelines is going to have you in a much better place to be in a positive mindset when you go back to edit, which is something that nobody talks about. And if you're in there editing, and you might call it a cave, if you're in that type of mindset, guys, let's bring you to the castle. Get your boundaries figured out so that when you come back into the editing castle, you're not mad that you have to do 15 eye swaps and remove some distractions. You're excited about it.
It is definitely a lot easier to sit down and be dedicated to a gallery when you're in the right mindset. So the episode is called How to Edit Faster, but it's also going to be little bits and pieces of how we've been able to have more work-life balance as we've been editing throughout this year. So let's start with probably the most important one, which you've already alluded to. The time that you put in your contracts should be more than you need, and you shouldn't have to use all of it.
Under promise and over deliver.
Under promise and over deliver. If you are offering like a 30-day return and you're constantly delivering it on day 30, that's an indicator that you should just give yourself 60 days. Give yourself 90 days, but still try to hit like that 30 to 45 day mark. that's going to be an awesome way for you to relieve the stress of constantly sprinting towards deadlines, but also to set good expectations with your clients. So that way there's not a ton of back and forth throughout the editing process of them asking like for updates on their gallery. If your clients do reach out, knowing that you can push back and say, the gallery will be done by the contractually agreed upon timeline, and it'll be worth the wait. You are always able to do that. You should never feel like you are being shamed for utilizing the full contracted amount of time.
One really good way to avoid having somebody reach out, and there's no real way to avoid it. If somebody's going to reach out, they'll probably reach out regardless. Mm-hmm. In our experience, you have different opportunities to serve the couple at different times. One of these times is you reply back to their inquiry, match their energy, spit it back, give them the love that they deserve. They're in your inbox. You're excited about it. Cool. Then you schedule a call. Awesome. You nail the call. You are paying attention. You're present. You're engaged with what they're telling you. You're asking the right questions. You're answering any questions that they have. All of those things, that's another way to serve the couple. Then the engagement session is an awesome opportunity to illustrate what it's going to be like to be creating with you on the wedding day. You crush that. Sweet. Now you've completed the engagement photos. The next opportunity is the preview for that. Cool. Getting them into the mindset that you're going to take care of them the day after, regardless of what's going on. This continues on the wedding day, and this is often super slept on. There is a couple days where the excitement level is going to be so high. They're going to be getting videos from all of their friends who are creating at their wedding. You want to give them some high quality content to post right away. So you got to give them a good preview. I'm not saying you got to give them a 500 photo preview, but if you give them a good preview, it's going to be a lot less likely that they're going to talk to you about when that's going to be final, edited, and completed and in their inbox before the contractually agreed upon date.
Such a good point, and that definitely does alleviate a lot of messages, I'm sure. You can add into your conversations about your contract with the couples right away to set really clear expectations. You had mentioned you got the inquiry and then now you got the call. So you're going to get to know each other and you're going to talk through everything and you're going to ask questions. They're going to ask questions. We have worked into we'll call it a consultation call, that conversation piece on the delivery timelines. Although it might feel icky to be on camera with your couple and say like, hey, I noticed that your wedding date is in October. That is our busy season. So we will potentially use the full 90 days to get back the wedding gallery. Do you guys feel comfortable giving us the full 90 days to complete the editing process? We have noticed such a tremendous impact in the frequency and also the tone of check-in emails and messages after we started talking more about it, because most likely the person who is hiring you for photos, they don't understand this process. It's not fair for us to be upset with our clients for asking because they truly don't know, but we can educate and we can bring context to, okay, so it might say 90 days, but as you've already mentioned, what if I'm shooting some of those days? What if I'm taking days off in those days? What if I have holidays, birthdays, anniversaries? I live a real life outside of my business. And you've even joked about maybe we actually don't even say like 90 days.
Business days.
Maybe we say like 90 business days. You tell me what date that is.
It's kind of a joke, but it's also not. Like,
yeah.
Why should you have to put in 4 hours editing on Thanksgiving or Christmas? It's neither here nor there. We haven't done that yet, but it's a funny thought. Let us know what you think. Right.
Bring into your conversations, do you guys feel comfortable giving me that 90 days? So looking at the date, like maybe you even start to put in the actual delivery date instead of just like the 4 to 6 weeks, or just more communication and more clarity often is the correct answer. And with all of that being said, there are still people who are going to reach out and they're going to ask. That's just their personality, but always know that you can stand by the contract that you all agreed upon.
Let's talk about how to actually edit faster, Britt.
Yes, and some of my editing tips and tricks.
Okay, first things first, I want to know what content you consume, how you consume it. Is it audio? Is it visual? Is it podcast? Is it playlist? Is it T-Swift bangers? Is it EDM music, classical? What do you go with? And how does that keep you on track versus some things that you might have done in the past that didn't really work as well?
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself. If you notice that putting on Gossip Girl and having a Netflix program going in the corner leads to less productive editing time, then you have to be a good employee of yourself. You are the employer and the employee, and you have to be honest honest and really make smart decisions. A quick tip that has helped a lot during this editing era.
Like locked in hours.
I'm locked in. And to be locked in, my tip is I would love to recommend putting your phone away. And this is especially hard for me because I love social media and I love content. Oh my gosh. So it has been so helpful to put my phone on the charger in the other room and then open YouTube and listen to podcasts on YouTube, but like a minimized tab. So that way I'm not actually visually watching it, but I'm listening to it. And by having everything like on my computer instead of on a little device, it's so much easier to not be checking texts, to not be looking at my little to-do list, because I keep my to-do list on my notes app, which can like send me in a spiral.
Easily.
And it helps me to not feel the urge to just quickly open up the app. You're never quickly opening up the app. The app is designed to keep you locked in on the app.
Designed to hook you.
Mm-hmm. So that has helped me to lock in. Audiobooks go right along with that message. Instead of listening to a podcast, you can always open up a book and then you can listen to an audiobook. I know Audible offers 1 free book per month. So if you're balling on a budget, it's a great way to stay entertained while editing.
If you have a library card, you can use Libby, Libby, as an app that just syncs your library card into like
their digital database of audiobooks.
And then you can just rent it. That's a really cool option too for audiobooks. I think that one little side tip is like, hey, if it's going to be a big editing day, I know that I'm going to try and support you however I can. So if that means like bringing meals to you or bringing like snacks to you, or like a hot tea goes a long way, you know?
It does.
And then like maybe I'll focus on more of the emails, more of the culling and other projects on the other computer. Or if there is something to edit on the other computer, that's what I'll do. Or like more stuff around the house. Maybe if there's errands, like I got to send stuff out. Maybe you have that option sometimes, you know, maybe that would be a cool idea to be like, hey, you know, can I get you for like 4 hours on Saturday? I really need like some support. I can't be doing all of this on that day and making a big push in editing. So
yeah,
just throwing that out there.
Communicate to your partner for sure what you're going through. Because if you don't have a spouse who is helping to support your workload, even just simply saying like how much that tea could mean to you, those beautiful spouses and partners, they will help you to stay focused, and they'll help you to be an accountability partner too. There's been so many times recently where before I started moving my phone to the other room, you would come in and be like, hey, what are you doing?
Hey, what are you doing? The next really big editing tip is actually not even about editing. The fastest way to edit a photo is to cull it out.
Yeah.
The fastest way to edit a photo is to cull it out.
Within reason. Like I can hear your heart racing. What we're saying is that your gallery is only as strong as your weakest photo. If you are noticing that you maybe didn't do as good of a cull, the best way for you to be feeling good and productive about your editing is if you've actually done a really good disciplined cull. If you have 2 images that are so similar that you're like, I'm just going to give them both, do you need to? Ask yourself, because if you, at least if you're like me, you feel so good when you start seeing that number dwindle down, like you're getting to the end of the gallery.
Oh, yeah.
It's because you have that instant gratification of you are moving forward with your momentum. And sometimes it's really hard to build momentum when you have so many like images to work on. Then you're in like sections for much longer than you want to be or need to be. Mm-hmm. I really think that the best way to edit faster is to definitely cull more. And it's not that you need to remove images that have sentimental value. If it's helping to tell the story, keep it.
You need it.
You need it. But if it is a duplicate, if it is something that is very, very similar, I think you should actually choose to cull one of them out.
When you can be critical about your own work, you reach another level. And I know that might be easier because we work together all the time and you tell me how you feel all the time. But that doesn't mean it's like easier to hear. And that's the part that is like, you have to be both the boss and the employee. I love that you said that earlier. Like you have to be like, hey, that photo does not evoke emotion. Mm-hmm. Okay, that one does. Sweet. So then we're keeping that one. We're getting rid of those 6 because they're not there. So be critical about your framing, about your tilt, about your setting choice. Like all of these things go into it. If it's a super emotional photo, don't get rid of it, guys. Mm-hmm.
And if you're in Lightroom and you're editing and you come across a series of 4 to 5 images that are very similar and you want to be able to look at them in a layout that helps you to really get down to the narrow reasons why one is more superior than another, I want you to select all of those so they're all like highlighted, and then I want you to press N. It's a shortcut. It will pull them up all next to each other.
Yeah. What about Aftershoot, Brittany?
What about Aftershoot? Let me take you back in time for a second.
Let's go back in time.
The year is 2020. Alex and I, we
way back
captured one of our first weddings, and we together captured 8,000 images. 4
What?
cameras.
What?
Dark barn.
8,000.
All the things.
That's a real number.
I had an older laptop and I imported every image into Lightroom, and then I was just painfully clicking through all of them and culling inside of Lightroom.
You had 8 gigabytes of RAM.
It was a very old laptop.
Mm-hmm.
That took forever. It was painful. Alex was searching around and he found
There's gotta be a better way.
Yeah, he found what's called like a culling software.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was like, no, that's crazy. We don't need that. We have Lightroom. We already pay for Lightroom, right? He was adamant we got to try a culling software. So we did, and we loved the experience because a culling software is a sorting software.
Mm-hmm.
You need to sort your photos before you actually put them in Lightroom, because Lightroom is an editing software, not a sorting software. When you move from photo to photo in Lightroom, it takes longer. The system is trying to load all of the data in each raw image.
Because it is all the data.
It is all the data. If you sort first, you will save yourself more time. Therefore, you'll edit faster. We tried one culling software, and then we learned about AI culling softwares. Now, AI is continuing to develop, and we are living in a very exciting time to be content creators.
Aftershoot is a really sweet program that you can put in specific parameters about how many group sets you want, how large you want the group sets to be. And a group set is simply like how alike are more than one photo. We have set up our custom parameters to have less group sets. So what we're asking the AI to do is to be very decisive. Mm-hmm. And we're asking them to pick less photos overall. Now, that doesn't mean that we just throw caution to the wind, like you said, and just export it right into the catalog. What we do is we do what I like to call a hybrid cull, which is where I let Aftershoot cull the massive data first. And usually they're really close to a 25% return, which is really great. It actually color codes it, and it separates cautions from bangers. It's all in chronological order, starting at the beginning of the day, all the way to the end of the day. And then it gives you the heads up display with everybody's eyes that are in the photo. It's just at a quick glance, you can see that, okay, there's 5 people in this family photo. Sweet. Everybody's looking at the camera. That's amazing. So you're going to keep that photo regardless, depending on people's facial expressions in it, because you're going to need the eyes if you have to do an eye swap when the best expression was being made. But then what you get to do is you get to utilize what's called My Collection feature. And what you get to do is you get to go through one time, and it's almost like it's already the second time because AI culled it first. And then you get to go through it and you get to hit one specific key. I believe it's a D key. Mm-hmm. And then that will create your specific My Selection collection. Yes. So what that'll do is it'll give you the ones that only you want. So out of that smaller group set, out of the smaller selection, you get to pick, and then those are in your separate collection that you're going to import into Lightroom.
What I love about Aftershoot is it helps you to be more decisive. You are getting such a jump on the data right away because you've got 2 full culls before you even put it into Lightroom for your preview. This has allowed us to tackle our timelines. I am so excited about the editing feature inside of Aftershoot as well. This is the time to be a photographer. Being able to minimize the amount of editing time is the dream. With Aftershoot's editing feature, they are allowing you to upload thousands of the images that you've already exported. They're going to put together a profile inside of the system. They will then apply that generalized edit from all of your existing edits, and then you get to export your catalog and start editing with it already culled and it already edited. That's where I know that's where the magic happens.
So when
right?
when it finally gets to Lightroom, it's already been edited.
It's already been edited with your colors.
It's already been edited.
It's already been edited.
Okay.
And then now you're focusing on things like crops and composition and
tweaks,
generative AI, little tweaks to certain things. This is how we've been able to stay on top of our editing game this year. And I hope that as we continue to move forward with Aftershoot, we can even put together like our own custom profile inside of their shop. So that way, if somebody who admires our editing style wants to follow in our creative footsteps, they can utilize our profile inside of Aftershoot, and they can get the jump on maybe transitioning their editing style or whatever it is.
So the thing is however many photos you put in is going to be how much more accurate the profile is on what you are trying to get it to go for the base, correct?
Correct.
So I think the minimum is 3,000, right?
I think so.
So for somebody that is new to wedding photography, but they are like, hey, this is what I want to do, I know I'm into it, that might take a long time. Like I know for us, I mean, we weren't delivering that big of galleries. Our first year was with COVID, so we had all kinds of different...
very small days, small galleries.
all kinds of different days and hours of coverage and things because we were just trying to be so adaptable for everybody that was going through it together. And I think 3,000 final edited images would have taken us almost the whole year.
Correct.
So if you think about that, you're really saving a lot of time if you can buy a profile that you're really excited about, really like how it looks and where it's going.
Exactly. And there are current profiles in there. You can poke around in their shop. What I also love about Aftershoot is it is a startup company. It's like it's building out different features that are so exciting. I'm most looking forward to their retouching feature where you might be able to in the future retouch skin imperfections. I am an acne prone girly, so you have no idea what this means to me to think that I'll be able to utilize the power of AI to assess my own skin texture and then improve that before we even get into Lightroom. There are a lot of really cool things about Aftershoot that we love, but before we even partnered to be ambassadors of the Aftershoot team, we have been using Aftershoot to improve our workflow.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to be able to share about something that we've already loved and already used. If you would like to use our code for a promo to get started, there's a free trial, but there's definitely a promo involved if you wanted to support the show. The promo code to enter at checkout is Chasing Sunset, not plural, just Chasing Sunset. If you enter this at checkout, you can try either the free trial or you can get a promo discount on the overall annual cost of Aftershoot.
Give it a shot. Let us know what you think. If you want to go back to culling in Lightroom, tell us if you think that's significantly better. Like, we'd love to hear your feedback. One really cool thing about Aftershoot is they're very open to feedback. They want to know what you want. They want to know what the people that are using the program need in order to use it more effectively.
You gotta give the people what they want.
We will be sharing more content about how we go through and actually do all of the parts that we do.
Yeah, because one of the main pieces of feedback we get from our community is they tried Aftershoot, but it wasn't user friendly, which, okay, I'll give you that. Learning a whole new system is definitely a big process. What my dream is maybe we could host like an Aftershoot masterclass where
exactly.
we can share our screen and actually walk people through how we process one of our galleries, and then we can offer like an open Q&A if anybody's struggling with any specific thing. I think about the way you've set up like the parameters of the cull. You know, one little touch there can completely change the game for someone.
Yeah, and I need to continue to emphasize, when you go back through and look at the cull that Aftershoot did for you, the organization that they did for you, and then you get to go through and pick your selections, that is truly the biggest spot that you save time. Because if you go through slow there and you're critical and you pick the right ones, you've saved yourself so much time. You really have. And even if you have to take a couple breaks to come back with fresh eyes, do it. And do it as soon as you can, because when we sit on data, that's when we feel less inspired by it, because we're getting further away from the story. And when you're looking at your data and being critical right away, you're going to get the best notes to be better moving forward, and you're also going to have it freshest in your mind.
I agree. The hard part of editing is when you feel like you have to edit.
Exactly.
And then you lose sight of the I get to edit. And this all just comes back to the idea that you have to keep your mindset in check. Your issues with editing might be a greater problem at large in your life. If you can't easily romanticize the fact that you're an entrepreneur and that you have bookings and you have beautiful images to edit and portfolio that you're proud of, it might be an element of you're not romanticizing serving yourself on a self-love level, right? Maybe you do need to go for that break, that walk. Maybe you need to do your physical exercise before the big editing day. Maybe you need to structure your day in a way that you eat, drink water, fulfill like other elements of your physical life before you try to sit down and lock in on the computer. And maybe you need to romanticize the whole process by putting together a look and feeling like you can maybe be on camera to do a time lapse of you culling and editing.
Such a good idea.
And light a candle, make your favorite drink, do things that help you to romanticize the process of editing, and it will go faster. Because if you can get your mindset in a place where I get to edit, not I have to edit, you're going to be feeling like you're flying through this stuff versus trudging along.
I have one other thing to share about the overall theme of this episode, which is how to edit faster.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to continue to find ways to challenge yourself to do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
We have started a star chart. I hope you have seen it. You're welcome to join our star club. We're very excited about all new participants. Thank you. It's just like an accountability. Like you get to go and get a gold star for the day. It doesn't have to be running 2 miles. That's what ours is currently. But I tell you what, like when you are running and you don't want to be running anymore, but you keep running, that's where you grow. Breaking the day up with physical exercise is going to literally give you more endorphins, which is going to make you feel better about your day. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you might be not seeing the sun very much, and natural endorphins are a good way to supplement that, as well as D3. Yeah, breaking up your day like that is a really good way of remembering that you can do hard things. Most people aren't delivering 2,500 photo galleries. We're usually right around 1,200 to 1,500, depending on how big the day is, how much is going on.
Breaking it up in like 200 or 300 increments is a lot better than saying, I'm just going to get it done today.
Yeah. There's other people that use Lightroom in a different way, and they separate it into collections. Mm-hmm. That's a really good idea too. If you guys want content about that, we can show you how to do that. It's like, okay, you break out a collection here, take a break, go and do your run, come back, full set of steam, and you take out another 1.5. Now you're almost already a third of the way there. So reminding yourself that you can do hard things is really important.
Building up that muscle, persistence, that discipline. It's awesome. The biggest thing when it comes to editing faster is lean into the powers of AI. Mm-hmm. Be willing to make a change in your workflow in order to streamline your process. No matter what you experience out there in the world, there's so many different pieces of advice that people will give you. You have to be willing to try something new if you want to see something new in your life, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah. I think you guys should try Aftershoot. It's a really organized program, and it'll at least give you another way to view the content that you've created.
Right. And let's just be realist about it. Right now, to alleviate the trust issues that we have with AI, we still go through it, right? We do 2 full culls before, one AI, one us, before it goes into Lightroom. What if in the future it gets better and better? There is this opportunity to trust AI and to allow it to select the best images based on the current technology of the time. And now you do continue to save more and more time. You got to get started somewhere. Don't be scared. Just be willing to explore and experiment.
What if AI gets so good at learning each specific content creator that you can add in like your own characteristics and be like super artsy creative comps or like shutter blur, right? And then it actually picks the best shutter blur out of all of, you know what I mean?
Like what if for me, I find myself putting like at least a couple crazy fun creative Dutch angles in galleries that have no business being a Dutch angle, but they're just fun for me. What if in the future there's a way for you to
create a Dutch angle category? Yeah,
map that out.
I think that there's 2 types of people in this world. Literally, there's 2 types of people. There's people that are always on the front edge of the new technology and they're getting the most out of it. And with that, there's going to be bugs. The learning curve is a lot steeper when you're on the beginning, the front like that. And then there's the people who are like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. Like, do you remember your parents being like, I'm never going to be on social media. I'm never going to be on Facebook or Instagram. And now they're posting on Facebook. You're like, dude, come on.
And to your point on timing, then you don't get to be a part of the front of the wave and you don't get to be a part of like the initial benefits for longer. Mm-hmm. There's 2 types of people. It could be people who are open to change and resistant to change.
Right.
Okay.
Like, remember the people 4 years ago that were like, short form's never going to take off.
Right. There was people who were like, social media is just not going to be anything. And now it's like somebody's entire career. So
literally, if it scares you and puts you outside of your comfort zone, it might be exactly what you need.
All of the links for all of the things will be in the show notes of this episode. If you're listening on YouTube, please leave us a comment and subscribe to the channel so you'd never miss out on a new episode. And if you're listening on either of the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, feel free to leave a review or a rating. Let us know what you think of the show. As always, it's so cool when you guys share our episodes to your social media. It's stuff like that that helps us to grow organically, which is everything. So thank you so much for supporting the show and supporting us.
If you have topic ideas or questions that you'd like for us to answer, you can send that to us via an email at editingcastlepodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram at editingcastlepodcast or at Chasing Sunsets LLC. We do spend a lot of time on social media, and we would love to connect with you there.
On Facebook, we have our community page, which is Editing Castle Podcast Community. And it would be so cool if you wanted to hang out there and show us some of the things that you're working on. If you love Aftershoot, we would love for you to start a conversation over there for us to go back and forth about any questions you might have or success stories that you currently have. We are so excited to be back in the Editing Castle and creating episodes for you guys. So
we're so glad that you stopped by.
You are always welcome back.
We'll see you next time
in the Editing Castle. That was a good one.